Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Daxon here with Weaver Family Farms. In this video, I just kind of want to go over a few things here. I'm going to show you on my screen of how to tell if your dog is pregnant. There's a few different ways you can tell. Some of the most, sure sign ways are obviously you can go to your veterinarian and you can get an x-ray, or they can do ultrasounds. Now, sometimes they can be expensive, anywhere from $100 to $500. Anywhere you live, depending on, if you're in a city or if you're more in a rural area and so on, and typically, wherever you go to the vet, prices are going to be different. Not everyone can afford that, and some people just kind of have, the mindset, which it's true, they're either pregnant or they're not pregnant. Now, if you're new to breeding or if you've had any types of problems in the past, that you might be worried about things like that. Or anything that might give you cause for concern, then go ahead and go get the x-ray or the ultrasound at your vet, and you can consult with them and they can help you further. So basically here I have a little chart. See if I can zoom in. I got this on Google, but it's really full of good information. And like it starts off here, your dog is pregnant. Typically, everyone says 9 weeks, which is about 63 days. Now, this is going to vary depending on the breed of your dog. Smaller dogs, like I personally breed toy poodles and toy dogs. We do Maltipoos, mostly toy poodles, and then sometimes cockapoos and cavapoos. That's the 4 breeds we stick with, but mostly toy poodles. And they are typically have their babies around day 58 to 60. And now what this says is pretty close, 56 to 70 days. Now you'd have larger dogs, for example, and I don't know a whole lot about larger dogs, but we're talking about something like a Great Dane, might be closer to 68 to 70 days before they would have their puppies. Now it starts out here with week 1 and week 2. It talks about how it's still in the early days. Once they come out of heat, you can continue as usual with your dog. You can groom, feed, and walk them, is exactly as if they were not pregnant. Week 3, at this stage, the embryo is embedded into the lining of the uterus. Continue feeding and walking normally, but monitor for an increased appetite. And then it talks about how you can go to your vet and they can do, screenings and things like that. Week 5 is the first stage of gestation. It ends around day 35. And the second begins. At this point, the organs begin to form, and this is known as a fetus, a baby puppy. Day 42 is when it all starts to speed up, and your dog will start entering into the 3rd week of gestation. So there is what they call 3 parts of the pregnancy, 3 trimesters. You have your 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Your 1st, like it's talking about, your dog might have some vomiting, might be more hungry, appetite, and then there's also certain parts of pregnancy where their appetite will decrease, which is usually, right around 48 hours before they actually whelp and start having puppies. It moves on then to week 8. By day 50, the fetus skeletons should been formed, and also around this point, your dog will begin lactating, so starting to produce some milk. Week 9, it talks about how you're very close. Your dog will then start looking for a quiet place to nest. They might seem anxious or irritable and things like that. You can also kind of go over the different temperature changes of your dog if you want to monitor daily your dog's temperature. And then when your dog's temperature drops just a little bit, about 1.5 or so degrees Fahrenheit, then typically your dog is very close to labor. So here's an interesting picture also of kind of what it looks like inside a pregnant female dog, which is also called a bitch. You can see the puppies down here, they're in the sacks, and that's also how they'll be born. In cases you've never had a dog litter before, each puppy will come out in a sack, and they will have umbilical cords attached to them. Typically, there is no human intervention needed whatsoever. It always is nice to know, if you stay with your dog through the entire pregnancy, help keep them calm, pet them, comfort them, and things like that. It always helps anytime, when we have dogs going through the labor process. just being there with them and keeping them calm and feeling loved as they always should be is one of the most important things from my experience. Now, kind of going over the first month or so, their first trimester of pregnancy, you will notice typically an increased appetite. The female's nipples will be slightly enlarged. Sometimes they can act more excited. There can be clear vaginal discharge. That's normally around week 3 to 4. Normally not as much physical activity, and you will see some vomiting, which they call morning sickness. It's the same as within humans. Now your second month, closer, right around your second trimester, which, it's pretty much 30, 30, 30 is 30 days, 30 days, 30 days is what each trimester is. You'll start seeing an increased appetite again. You can expect a weight gain of 20 to 50%. Your dog might have increased urination, more behavior changes. Sometimes they can still have vaginal discharge. Their abdomen around day 45 to 55 will feel more firm and full or enlarged. And then their appetite might start decreasing right around that time as well. Now around day 50 or 55, you should start to notice some visible puppy movement in the abdomen if you really feel. You can also use a stethoscope. I know you can get them pretty cheap, like on Amazon, for 30, 40, 50 bucks, or 100 or 200 for a nice one. And you can kind of feel around gently and listen, see if you can feel any or hear any heartbeats. And then your last trimester, you'll start to notice the waist will trim a little bit as puppies move more into the birth canal. Appetite loss will happen around day 61, 62, 63, right around the time, like I mentioned before, that your dog is getting really close to labor. You'll notice that drop in body temperature, about a day or less before they go into labor. They'll also, from my experience, they'll act really restless, I guess would be the word. Depending on, if you're having them in a kennel, kind of watching them, kennel crate, whatever you want to call them. They'll start digging. If you have a blanket in there, which hopefully you do, they'll really appreciate a blanket or a towel or something like that for birthing. And then I've also noticed some dogs won't have nothing to do with the towel. They'll push it to the side, and they want to have the puppies just on, some type of, like with the crates, they usually have the little slide-in trays of plastic surface. I've had many dogs that just prefer that over anything. And then right when you're getting close to labor, typically 6 to 12 hours, you'll start to notice, like I said, they'll start trying to dig because they want to nest. They will start shaking, and it does, from a human perspective, looking at them, it does look really scary, like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with my dog? Typically, there's nothing to worry about. If you are still concerned, please do call your vet. Panting is also very, very important, knowing you're getting very close to labor, as well as pacing back and forth. They're acting really anxious because they're getting really, really close. Now, as soon as your dog starts having puppies, I've seen it anywhere between 20 minutes to an hour between puppies. And then also our Cavalier that we breed with our miniature poodle. She actually has the tendency to have all of her puppies really quickly, and she has anywhere between 6 and 9 puppies on average, and she does have them really fast. Like there's times she's had her entire litter within like 2 hours. And then like one of our Cocker Spaniels, we've had a pregnancy of 8 puppies last 8 hours. So that time frame can vary a lot. You shouldn't ever see more than an hour to an hour and a half between puppies. If so, that could mean there is a problem. It is normal also as well between each puppy for the mother to rest. Also for the puppies, each time they're born, to try to go ahead and getting some milk from the mom, things like that. The most important thing you can do, that I would have to say is more important than anything else, is keeping the puppies warm. Keeping the puppies warm is so important, that because puppies at this age until about a month or a month and a half old cannot regulate their own body temperature. So it's really important to keep them warm. It's more important than making sure they eat immediately, because that will happen. And sometimes with some female dogs, their milk won't actually start coming to the nipples ready for the puppies to start eating the milk until all the puppies are born. That's actually pretty common and normal as well. So if you have any comments or questions, leave them in the comments section here under this video if you're watching on YouTube. Hopefully you found this information helpful. As a breeder myself, I try to share as much knowledge and things from experience that I've learned from others and that I've learned myself through different dog labor experiences and through dog pregnancies. Keeping the puppies warm and being with your dog as she goes through the labor process is two very important things. And then also you want to keep up, if you're not familiar with how to do it yourself, obviously go to the vet, for the vaccines when that's time for the puppies to have their vaccines, as well as keeping your puppies dewormed. And you also want to make sure, if you haven't already, it's good to deworm a dog every 3 to 6 months. On normal is what we try to do, because it's really important. You want to make sure that your dog that is pregnant has been dewormed, because if not, those puppies are most likely going to be born with worms, and it can cause them to die young or not grow and thrive like they should. But that's it for this video. Please thumbs up if this is helpful at all. Subscribe if you like other videos like this, guys. Once again, comment below if you have any questions. I will do my absolute best to try to help you. Thanks for watching. See you later. Bye-bye.